Hello everyone, welcome to Study Table. My name is Swati, and in this video, we'll be creating a full-fledged CRUD project using Spring Boot, and we'll be using the Maven dependency. While in the previous project, we created a CRUD project that anyone can access. If there is a user in database, then all the users can do CRUD operations on the table. But here in this project, we'll be using the Spring security tool, which will help you us to save username and password into the database. And based on the authentication that we have provided, all the users will be given specific roles, and based on the roles they can do CRUD operations on the table as well as on the database. So if a user, let's say, has role of an employee, then he can only do the get operations, while for the manager he can do get as well as post, and for the admin can do all the CRUD operations. Okay, that is to create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so we'll be using Spring security here. We'll be using Hibernate to create our roles and to do the mapping to the different tables from one to many, many to one, etc. And then we'll be testing out all these functionality using Postman. Okay, so this is a full project, and we will test out the different rows that we'll be creating in our database. And for the database we'll be using MySQL. Okay, so this is the project here. I'm sorry for the bad handwriting, but without much further ado, let's start the video. So hello everyone, let's now start the project. For that, first we'll go to the website start.spring.io, which is the website to create Spring projects. So we'll choose the language Java. The project version is Maven. For the Spring Boot version 3.3.5. For the group ID, we'll go with com.swati.springboot. Okay, and the artifact ID is CRUD demo. You can choose any name that you want. Okay, demo project for Spring Boot. This is the package name, packaging jar, and Java 17. Now we'll add dependencies. First, web, because we'll be using the RESTful methods. The next is DevTools, so that when any changes to the project will be automatically detected and the server will restart on itself. We don't have to manually do that. Then the next is data JPA, because we will be creating tables and using Hibernate ORMs. So for that we will be using data JPA to map our database tables to the classes that we create and to the columns of the class. Okay, the next is MySQL, because we'll be using the MySQL database. So for that we'll need a MySQL driver to able to connect the database to the project. And the next is Spring security, because we'll be authenticating the users based on their credentials like ID and password, and the Spring security will let us handle that part. So these are the 5 dependencies that we'll need: web, DevTools, data JPA, MySQL driver, and Spring security. Okay, so once we are done, we generate the project. So the project is generated, and now we will open our project. Okay, and this is it. Okay, first go to pom.xml and we'll look at the dependencies that we've created. Okay, this is the artifact ID, the group ID, the description for the project, the data JPA, Spring security, Spring web, DevTools, MySQL connector, and Spring security. Okay, so everything is done. here is the main CRUD demo application. Okay, and now first we'll create a main package here, and the package name is CRUD role, because this is the parent package, and below this we'll be creating different packages. So first we'll create the entity package, because here we'll be creating our entities. And in the entity, create a new file, employee dot, create a new class, sorry, employee dot java. Okay, and this is a class. Okay, and now we have a few fields here: private int id, private string first name. Okay, sorry, type little error. And private string last name, and private string email, because you'll have an email id also. Okay, then we'll be generating constructors. First we will be we'll generate an empty constructor. Give a little bit of space here, yeah. And now here, now we'll generate a all the field constructor. Okay, then generate getters and setters, and after that a toString method. Okay, now this is done. Now we'll be creating another class named as role.java, and this is our class. This will have two methods: private long id and private string name. Okay, Array. Name. And now here we'll be generating constructors. First an empty constructor, and little space, and now all the field constructor. Then getters and setters, and toString method. Okay, save this. Now we'll be creating one more class in the entity package, which is now user.java, and this is a class. Okay, here we'll have fields of id. Here will be have एक second, private string, yeah, private string username, password, and enabled. Okay, now we'll be mapping these tables once all the classes have been created. So first of all, again the same, we'll create constructors, getters, setters, and toString method. Then um, now we'll create one more package of the name of DAO. Okay, DAO is data access object, and it is used to do our data logic in matlab, in a separate layer, which means ki we can map our classes to the table. So to make it separate, we'll be creating a DAO package here, and first we'll create an interface of the name in the package, user DAO dot java, and this is an interface. Okay, this implements a method user, which will import this class, find by user name, string username, and we'll be importing this class to fix the error. CRUD demo, CRUD role entity, and the name of the class is user. Okay, and now we'll create one more class here of the name of role DAO. I don't know Java, and this is also an interface, and this will also have a method public. Role is the name of the class in the entity. Find by find role by name name, yeah, string the role name. Okay, import this class CRUD role dot entity. Okay, another is employee repository, java, and this is also an interface. Okay, and this will be extending the jpa repository. Okay, and since this will be having a class name to, so that it can refer to that, and as well as the in data type for the key, which will be primary. So in our case the id, so the data type for id, which is integer. Okay, and extends jpa repository. Okay, and now in dao we will create a class of user dao implementation, which will implement the user dao deposit or the interface, and will be inheriting the method of it. So this is a class here. Okay, and first of all it will implement the implements user dao. Okay, and we will annotate with the at the rate of repository. So first we will be calling the entity manager private entity manager, and create a object of it, entity manager. Okay, and we will be creating a constructor. Okay, I will be implementing that. And now quick fix, add unimplemented methods. Okay, now we'll be writing our method here. Okay, find you by user name. Okay, so uh, typed query the name from which we want to access, dot create query from user where username, this will refer to the username in the user class. Okay, is equal to, and it's enabled in the database. Okay, oh, sorry. Okay, and go here is the dot class. Okay, and the query dot set parameter, the parameter is u name, username, comma the user name. Okay. Okay. ये एरर क्या है? Find the user name. ओह, ये हाँ है एरर, यहाँ से यहाँ रेफर होगा ना, तो ओके द okay. So now here we'll find a username and we'll pass the parameter of the username. So we'll find the username by using a query, and this will refer to the database to create query from user. यहाँ पे username पे will be put a username and enabled is equal to true from the user class, and this will set parameter of the username, and if the username is not found, that will throw an error. Yeah, it will. If it's found, then this will give us a result, and then it will return the user to us. Okay, and now we'll create one more class here as role dao implementation dot java, and this will be implementing the role interface. This is a class, and this will implement role dao. Okay, first annotate this with uh, sorry, at repository. Hmm. Okay, then again we will be calling the entity manager here, entity manager, and a method, sorry, entity manager. Okay, and let's create a constructor first, generate constructors, and okay. Okay, and now we'll implement the uh, methods. Hmm? Since the methods are same, so I'll be uh, copying this and make changes accordingly. Okay, and paste. So we'll change this because this is not find by username, this is find role by name. By name. Hmm. And string the role name. Okay, then I was thinking, okay, yeah, typed query, and this is role, not user, because this is a role class. The query entity manager dot create query from role, because we will be calling role here, where name is equal to you role name is equal to you name nahi role name. Role 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 name, and it will be, there is no enabled here. Okay, and so we'll delete this, and enabled is equal to true. Okay, and the class is role dot class. Hmm. The query dot set parameter role name and the role name. Then idhar again role, the role is equal to null, and again try the role, yeah, query dot get single result, catch exception, the role is equal to null, and return the role. And this is again an error. What happened to you? Now, and now we'll be creating a new package here with the name of service. Okay, and in the service class, sorry, service package, first we'll create an interface named as employee service. Employee service, and uh, Java, Java, and this is a class interface. Sorry, this is an interface. Yeah, and here we'll have some methods, such as first of all to get the list of employees. So list employee find all. Okay, and then employee find by id, employees to save, and to delete by id, int the id. Okay, so these are some methods. Let's quickly import things. Okay, and once it's done, now we will be creating a implementation of this, so of this interface. So one more class of employee service implementation, and this is a class. Okay, and this implements employee service. Hmm. So annotate it with at the rate of uh, service annotation. Okay, then we will be calling the employee repository here, because that is where the employee is being referred and the data is being saved, as well as it is extending the JPA repository. So we will be using the employee repository. Hmm. So first of all, import that. Okay, then we'll create a constructor, and auto wire it. Okay, so that we can implement the methods and we can call them. And now we'll add the uh, unimplemented methods. Okay, first of all, for the find all method, so first for find all, so we will be returning here, return employee repository dot find all. So we'll call here employee repository dot find all. Okay, so this will find all the list of employees that we have entered. And then for find by ID, okay, we'll be using the optional class here, because uh, optional will return either true or false. So if the employee is found, then it will print, oh sorry, it will return the employee, or if it's not found, then it will not return anything. Okay, so optional is more like true or false. Find by ID, yeah, and the ID. So it's a condition here, or if the result is present, मतलब if the result is Okay, so okay, so what is the problem here? Must be vertical. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So here we'll find the employee by ID, and this will be this is an option that it will first check the repository to find the ID, and initially the ID is null. So if the result is present, it will give us the result, as it will throw the error of did not find the employee ID, and after that it will return the employee by ID. Okay. Now to save, that is to, if you get a post request or a put request to save the employee, we will be returning retur return uh, employee repository dot save, and say what, the employee. Okay, simple one line method. And for delete by ID, then for here again employee repository dot delete by ID, the ID. Okay, and what is this syntax, delete this token. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so this is a class that, this is the employee service implementation class. Now we'll create one class of user service. Sorry, interface of user service, not class. This is an interface, and this extends the user service user details service. Yeah. Okay, and we'll be creating a method here, public which user find by username. Public user find by username string. What we'll have to find, username string user name user. Okay, this is done. And here we'll be creating a user service implementation class in service user service implementation dot java, and this is a class. Okay, and this will implement the user service which we have just created. Okay, annotate it with at the rate of service. First we'll call the user DAO, the two repositories, the two interfaces that we created. First is user DAO, and the next is role, role DAO. Hmm? And then we'll be creating a constructor. Now we'll be adding the unimplemented methods. Okay, so first we'll do find by username. Okay, and return user DAO dot find by username. Okay, now we'll do first the load user by username. String username throws exception. So for this method, first we'll call the user class to check if the user is there or not. So is equal to, then the user DAO dot find by username. I think this should be capital. Yeah, sure. Okay, this is referring to this. So to make it same, I'll make it as capital and here to capital, because these two will be same after that. So there will be no discrepancy here. Discrepancy, I don't know. Okay. Now first, then we'll have put a condition here. Okay, if the user is there or not. So if the user is equal to null, if the user is not there, which we are finding, then this will throw a not username not found exception. Hmm. And the messages will be invalid username or password. Okay, and after that, return new user user dot get username. Here we have created user service implementation class which implements the user service interface, and we have called the two interfaces of user and role DAO, created a constructor, and these are the two methods. First is find by username, which will find the username from the interface and return us the username, and this is load by username, where it will first throw an exception if the user is not found in the database, and throw the exception of invalid username or password. And then here it will map the, if the user is found, then the username and password is mapped to the class as well as to the collection. Okay, and this will get us a list of collection as a list. Okay, and now we'll create one more package of controller, and let's call this as employee rest controller. So this will call the employee service interface, and then we will create create a constructor, generate constructors. Okay, then first we'll annotate it with at the rate of rest controller, and we will give it the mapping of API. This is the parent mapping, and now the subsequent child mappings will be done. So first we'll call the methods to get and to post various. Find all method that we have created in the interface, and this will I will be we will be calling that method, and we annotate it at the rate of get mapping. Okay, now to get an employee by a single ID, so this will check if the employee is null, and if the employee is not found on the respective ID, then this will throw an exception through and runtime except runtime exception that the employee ID, okay, E capital employee ID not found. Sorry. Okay, and we will annotate it with at the rate of get mapping slash employees employee ID, which will be passing in the arguments. Okay, and now for post mapping, public employee add employee. Hmm. And for that we'll call the in the request body, we'll call the employee. So the employee dot, if in case for the post mapping we do not need an ID, but if someone passes an ID with the if someone passes an ID while they are entering data, so this will set the ID to whatever we have been whatever ID we write, that this will pass the ID and set the ID to the ID that we enter. Okay, okay, so here we'll be adding the ID, setting the ID to the ID that we enter. So whatever ID we'll write here, that will be set, and this will be saving the employee and returning the employee after it's saved. Okay, so first we'll annotate it at the post mapping, and the path is slash employees. Okay, so go now for put mapping, public employee up, up update employee, request body employee the employee. Okay, and is employee service dot save हमेशा ये error the employee. Hmm. Okay, now this will return the employee after it's done. Okay, and annotate it with at the rate of put mapping, and the path is same as employee. Okay, and okay, and now for delete, employee ID. This will take an integer of employee ID, while we have to will be deleting it by ID, single records one at a time. So we'll pass the argument of ID here, and then from the employee class, employee service dot, we'll find the ID, find by ID. Okay, and employee ID. Okay, we'll find the ID first, and if the ID is not found, like say if the ID that we are wanting is not there, if it's null, then this will throw a runtime exception of employee ID is not found. Plus employee ID. Okay, okay, and now wait. Hmm. Then employee service dot, if the employee ID is found, then delete by ID employee ID. Okay, and then return the employee ID details. Deleted employee ID is employee ID. Okay, simple. And now we'll annotate it with at the rate of delete mapping, and the path is slash employee. Since we'll be passing it an ID, so an employee OYEE ID. Okay, now this is done. This is the uh, controller class where we have a get mapping to find all the ID, to find an ID by a single, to find all the employees by a single ID. Then for post mapping, I'll give a little bit of space. Put mapping, delete mapping. Okay, and now the last is to create a security class. Okay, where we'll be using the Spring security features here. So in the main package, we'll create a new package of security. Okay, and in this a new class of demo config security. Security as right. So since this is a security class, so it will have some configurations. So we'll first annotate it with at the rate of configuration class, that this will be having some configurations and we'll be using them. Okay, so first is to, we'll be calling the bcrypt password encoder in this class, so that whatever class that we have or whatever password that we save, it is saved as bcrypt. Because if we do not mention this, then what will happen, if we do bcrypt, then we have to save our passwords written as bcrypt before the password. Then we have to write bcrypt and then we have to save the bcrypt passwords. Otherwise they will throw error and the database will not be referred because the password will be different. So with bcrypt password encoder, we can we can encrypt a password and save that the encrypted password in our database, and then it will refer to the database and we can use the password without writing bcrypt before it. Return new password. Okay. Re- Return new bcrypt password encoder. Okay, so first annotate it with at the rate of bean annotation, so that the Spring framework handles this. Then whenever the password encoder is needed, it will inject it whenever it's needed. Okay, and now the other one is to DAO authentication provider, not configurer, authentication provider. Yeah, authentication provider, where we'll call the user service class that will authenticate it. We create an object of it, so that we can use it to set our details, to set user detail service, set user detail service, user service, and auth dot set password encoder, password encoder, password encoder. Hmm. And okay, and then return auth. Okay, now we will annotate it again with at the rate of bean. So this is a Spring managed bean and we do not have to manage this, and this will authenticate the users based on the entry the based and based on the user details, and this will encode the password for us, so that if we save our password, we can use the common text password, but in the database we'll be saving the password as encoded or encrypted. So this will help us to set the password as encrypted, and we can easily refer that. So, and there is no problem of the password being compromised, right? So now we'll create a security filter chain. Filter chain, which will use the HTTP security, which throws exception if an error is encountered. Now here we will be authorizing our HTTP request according to the matches that we need to make. So for that we'll use HTTP dot authorize HTTP requests. Authorize HTTP requests, configurer, and here configurer dot request matchers. The method is http method dot get and get. The path is slash API slash the path that we have given employees. And who can access this? The role has role of an employee. Okay. And again dot request matcher. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy this. HTTP message, okay, employees slash star star dot has role of an employee. Then again dot request matchers of HTTP method of dot post, and the path for post is slash API slash employees, and the role of manager. Okay, I'll copy this line, paste it again. HTTP method dot put. Now for put request, what is the path for it? Again the same API slash employees and the role of manager. Again only the manager can make changes to the database to it update or to post a new request. And for the delete, hmm, then API slash employees, and since we'll be passing parameters to star star, hmm, and the role who can delete from the database, only the admin can. Okay, and now we'll close the method, right? So here we'll creating a security filter chain method, okay, that will authorize the HTTP request based on the request matching, such as the for get, post, put, and delete. That who has the option to see all the employees, then the employee can only view, the manager can do put, post request, and only the admin can delete. Okay, after this http dot http basic, and we will use the customizer here that will customize our basic authentication, right? That will use the basic authentication and it will help us to customize it. And since we have to now disable the CSR, that is the cross site request forgery, and this is not generally required for REST APIs that use post, put, delete, or patch requests. It is mostly used or required when we are using form based authentication, that we have a form and we are entering data into it. But it's also good practice that if you disable CSRF, because it will block your post request, and you will not be able to do post request or put request. Okay, so http dot csrf sorry, csrf disable. Okay, and after it's done, then return http dot build the method and build the class. Okay, now this class is done here. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, yeah, I have to annotate it at the rate of bean, because this is also something managed class. So here we have password encoder, we have the authentication provider, and a security filter chain that authorizes our request based on the HTTP methods and based on the roles that we will be creating in the database. Okay, so this was the packages that we have created. Okay, we have the DAO package, we have the entity package, the service controller, and security. Okay, and this is the main application. Now first we'll go to application.properties. Okay, we will be using this properties in the application property, that is the URL that we're using the MySQL database, localhost 3206, and the database name is study table. Okay, the username and password for the database is root, and we'll be using the logging here, that is we'll check or see all the errors or all the things that we are going, that we'll see able to see them in the logs. Okay, this is done. Now we have to map our tables, okay, according to the database. So first we'll go to the entity class, and in the employee, now first of all let's create the database. Okay, that will make things easier. So here I have two databases, that sorry, two SQL scripts that we have, and I'll be copying that in the MySQL database, and the link for the project is there in the GitHub repository, and the link for the GitHub is there in the description. So in that project you'll find the SQL scripts also, so you can refer that, and you can use them as they are in your project, and you have just copy that and paste them in your MySQL editor and run that, and that will work as expected. Okay, okay, so these are the tables, that is the employee details table, that is if it works in a database and the name of study table, we'll use it, and then we'll drop if any employee detail table exists. Otherwise we'll create the table of the name of ID, first name, last name, email, and then we'll insert the data here. Okay, and then for the users and roles in the same database, we'll first check for foreign keys, and drop table if it exists in the name of role or user, and then we'll create table user with ID, username, password enabled, and here we'll use the passwords here will be encrypted using bcrypt, and the generation tool is available here at this site at bcryptcalculator.com. If you go to bcryptcalculator.com, you can encrypt your simple passwords in bcrypt, and you can copy that password here and paste it in the database like this. If you do not use the password encoder class in the security class that we created, then we have to write bcrypt before the password that we have written. So to since we have used the bcrypt password encoder, now this will encode this bcrypt password, and we can use the simple text password, that is a default password here, a password. So we can write password, and in the database it will encode the password to this password that we have created using the bcrypt calculator. Okay, and once this is done, then we'll create a class table of role with ID, name, and this will be inserting into roles, that is the role of employee manager, and here the user roles will be created of foreign key of user ID. This will refer to the user of ID, then this will be the same. Okay, and we'll insert into user roles here 1121, that is the first, and one can only do the uh, first method, the it is for the get. The second user can do get and post, and the third user can do get, post, and delete all of the things that we have created. Okay, so this is the table. Okay, and now we'll map the table details to our classes. Okay, so first we'll go to the entity class, and in the employee class, first let's annotate it at the rate of entity, and this is a entity, that it refers to a table, and The table name that we created there is employee details. Okay. Now for ID, we'll annotate it with at ID. Okay. Hmm. Then name the columns. Refer to the table. Okay. Go to employee details. See ID, first name, last name, email. Okay. So we write the names as they are. Copy and email. Okay. This is done. Now for roles. Again for the entity and the table, the name is role that we created a table role here, names and roles. The same role is here. Now annotate it at the rate of ID. Same. Generated 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 value strategy is equal to generation type dot identity. Hmm. And same here, column name is name, and that's it. Okay, for this class. And now for the user class, the same for entity, and this is referring to a table. Hmm. Table, the table name is user. Hmm. The same for ID again. Generated value strategy is equal to generation type dot identity column name is id. Username, password, name is equal to enabled. Okay, and now before the constructor, now we have to do some mappings at the rate of many to many, fetch is equal to fetch type dot eager. Why eager? Because every time when we are calling the database, and all the records will be called, and not one at a time. So this will present us with the records that we want. Cascade type dot all. Okay, cascade type dot all. Okay, and now we'll be joining the table. Join. Okay, table. And table name is users underscore roles. Join columns is at the rate of join column name is equal to user id. Role id. Okay, then private collection role roles. Okay, so now here we are doing a many to many Hibernate mapping to fetch our users. So here we have done the Hibernate mapping of many to many, that will it will one class can refer to many tables, and simultaneously we can join, or you can refer to multiple tables. So the fetch type is eager, we joining the tables, and the join columns is the user id. Okay, and now the application is up and running. In the CRUD demo application, the application is now running. Now we'll go to Postman and check the status of it. Before that, we'll go to MySQL workbench, and I have added the SQL scripts in the class itself. So the link will be there in the GitHub repository. sorry, the link will be there in the description of the GitHub repository. So here we have the tables and the details of it, plus users and roles that is there in the table. Okay, everything is there in the description, and you'll find the full project in the GitHub repository. Okay, now the application is up and running. Now we'll go to Postman and check. Okay, this is the localhost 8080 slash API slash employees. If we go here, so we have seen that the parent controller was API, right here, and the to get the request we have to pass at after API employees. So I have done this. The authorization I have given, username is Varun and password. So here I'm saving as I'm passing as password, but in the database is saved as the bcrypt format. So once I am sending, so you can see the tables are the records are being shown. To verify, we'll go to MySQL workbench, and here I'll select from the employee details. So once I run, you'll find that these are the details. It's the same that is being mentioned here. Okay, so now to get one single employee, we'll go to. Now we can find one single employee. Now to get do a post request here, we'll go to body, raw JSON, right here. You have to first remove two. What are the fields that we have to pass? First name, let's say Harry. Last name is Potter. Yeah, and the last is email, and email is Harry at the rate of brl.com. Okay, and now send this. Now you can see that the authorization has failed because Varun, the username of Varun can only do get request. Okay, because he is just an employee. Now if I change the username, then it's allowed to do the post request. Okay, why? Because in the database, if you check, you'll find that the username of Varun had only the role of employee, and the employee can only do a get request, while the username of Ruchi is a manager, so the manager can do get as well as post request as well as put request also. So once one record has been entered, if I do again, then we can add multiple records because the ID is unique but the names can be same. So now if I want to do a put request here, and I wish to change the ID of 7, and here in the body, in place of Harry, I want to do Barry. Okay, and Barry Botter. No, it's very bad. Barry Brown. Okay, and here Barry. Right now, if I do this, then it's forbidden again. Here we'll pass ID. Okay, because we want to change the ID, and we'll pass the ID as 7. Okay, not in braces. Okay, now let's see if the ID 7 is changed or not. Yeah, the ID 7 is changed, right? And I'll do the same for, before doing this, let's first go to the database and cross verify if everything is working. See, we have one Harry and there is one Barry that we have changed, and now we have 8 and 9 as Harry and Barry again. So I want to change number 8 to some other name. The number 8 is Harry Potter. I want to change some other name. So let's go here and number 8, and here we'll do Shaurya Gupta, right? And for the email we'll pass as Shaurya. Okay, number 8. Now do a send here. Now this is accepted. To verify again, here it's showing as Harry. Now if I do again, then you see Shaurya is now updated. Okay, now I want to delete a few records here. I want to delete number 9, right? So now number 9 has been deleted. Okay, and again we can check, number 9 is not there, right? So this is how we can do the CRUD request based on roles. That here if I go and pass the value of Varun, then he cannot delete this. It's forbidden because the number also doesn't exist. But if I wish to do 8, then he cannot do this, right? If another person wants to do, then that person can also not do, because they only have the authorization to do a get and a post request. But the admin can do all the three, that is get, put, post and delete. So when I pass the admin username and password, then the employee is deleted, right? So this is how we can do CRUD operations based on roles on our databases, right? So if you found this video useful, please hit the like button. Do not forget to share it with your friends, and keep learning, keep growing. Okay, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.